Want to boost your creativity, reduce stress, and increase self-awareness? Well, you need to start journaling. Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you on my journey on how I started journaling. Let me share with you a backstory on my journaling experience. So I would say that the first time I ever wrote in my diary was in year 7. The teacher told me to start writing it down and just share your thoughts. And I remember it being so therapeutical. Like, for example, at that time I was going through a lot of problems with my mum, and I remember just writing it out on a piece of paper in a book, you know, day in, day out. And it was my way of really venting to someone that I felt that could trust me, you know, like as in a piece of paper is going to listen without even talking back. And I remember reading back at that book, you know, for many years to come, and just remembering how I felt as a teenager. But surprisingly, I just didn't continue with that habit. It wasn't until I was a single mum, and I think I was more around 25 years old in the 2010, when after a series of breakups and series of problems in my life, did I get exposed to this concept again about journaling. And it started off with Oprah saying that every day, write in your journal 3 things you're grateful for. And this was my kind of reactivation into the journaling world. As a teenage girl with all those problems in my mind, I remember it being like my best friend, being able to share my thoughts about, you know, my pains and how I was struggling through growing up with my parents. So at the time when Oprah was saying to journal, the first thing I said to myself is like, I have nothing to be grateful for. Like, what am I going to even write down in here? And so then I was like, well, my life is crap. I have to do something different. And so I forced myself to create a daily habit of writing down what I'm grateful for. So I would write down like, I'm grateful for the weather. I'm grateful for, you know, the sun or whatever it is. I'm grateful to be alive. And it was just so hard. Thinking back, I think I really took life for granted. I was very in a negative space. And then later on, I realized that, okay, well, this is actually becoming really fun. It's actually changing the way I'm feeling. And so then I started to write longer format. And so this is when I started to kind of write down like what is happening throughout my day and reflecting on how I'm feeling. You know, if I woke up, what is my mood and what is really happening in my life. And I would write it regularly, almost like daily when I first got started. Now, the benefits I felt is that when you've got all these negative thoughts, it's like you're able to release it and let it all go. It also allows you to reflect on the good, you know, what's really happening, because in your mind, you might just be clouded by your emotions. You're feeling so crap that you feel like, oh, there's nothing good about yourself or your life. But then when you're writing it down and you're reflecting on what you do have or what's really happening, you start to appreciate life more. And so I realized that every morning it became something that I need to do for me to feel that I have clarity. I know exactly how I'm going to approach my day. What are my goals for the year? And then just, you know, almost recount of what has happened during the day, so that I do remember and appreciate all of my achievements, and then be able to identify challenges or feelings that I have that I could tackle or learn to work on. There are many ways to journal if you're new to journaling, and these are the different ways that I've journaled over the years. And I think that it's always great to kind of have different formats so that it becomes more of a variety and you don't get bored. So number 1 is, obviously I just told you that you could get a gratitude journal. It even has prompted questions and just say, what are you grateful for today? And that's a really simple way to get started. So you're really just answering 2 or 3 sentences, right? And then there's also other books that also ask you daily different questions. So, you know, remember back the last time that you faced the fear. Remember the last time that you know, did this kind of activity. So it helps you to remember back certain times. So in a way, it's prompting you to know what to journal. And then of course there is blank pages of journal, you know, a book that says journal, and in there is just blank pages. And this really allows you to just write freestyling. So what I did at the beginning is I just really wrote down, you know, my daily activities. But then eventually I kind of also just write down, I use the book to really just write the different things that I want to work on. So for example, I might be reading a book and I might write down, use it as a summary note and write down some of the key learnings from there. And then I would set my goals and aspirations. So it is a combination of like daily journaling, but it's also a book full of thoughts and, you know, aspirations and things. And then there's more productivity type of journaling. So there are these journals where not only does it ask you to be, what are you grateful for, but it also asks you like, what are your goals? You know, what's happening in your week? You know, it's more structured. It allows you to kind of work on the different areas of your life. And so there's so many out there that you could search up. So with journaling, I first started with like a little book, and then I found an app called Memento. I don't know if it's still around, but it was an iPhone app. Now this was good because then you can access the diary entry anytime, and then it also reflects and tells you, you know, this time last year, this is your diary entry, and then you start to read it as well. And then I've also used Remarkable, which is a digital notebook. So this is where you use a pen, a digital pen, and you write, and it feels like paper and pen, but then it's electronic. So that means that you can access the file also throughout anywhere, whether it's desktop or on your phone. And then another book that I really like was called Best Self. So this is where I was talking about the journal, where it asks you a lot of questions around setting your goals, your daily habits, and your weekly things and reflection. So it's very prompted. So it's really, really great for you to use it as a way to organize your life. But then nowadays, one of my favorite tool is Notion. So Notion allows me to customize my journal. So it is digital, it is a desktop version as well as iPhone, but I create my journal in a way that it's like a column. So each column is an entry or a prompted question for me. So number one is, for example, how are you feeling this morning? And then number two is, you know, what are you grateful for? Next thing is, what kindness did you do? And then, you know, journaling, like, well, then that's where I would just fill out exactly what I'm planning to do today or what has happened yesterday. So it's freestyling. And then another column for health and fitness. I even ask myself, like, what am I planning to eat today? You know, if you don't think about it, you might just end up, you know, eating whatever, and it ends up being an unhealthy day. So what I like about Notion is that I now have learned all the different ways that you can journal, and I'm coming up with my own set of questions and putting it in a column, and it's an electronic version so that I can access the notes anytime. And you know, over the time you can always, you know, reduce or add on more columns or questions as you like. So Notion is very, very customizable in that way. So nowadays, every morning I would wake up and I open my Notion app and I go into my journal section, and this is where I fill out the different columns. And you know, do I write it every day? Not always, but I would say, you know, 5-6 days out of 7 days. And I find that when I don't journal is when I feel like I'm just going with the flow and I don't have structure and I don't have clarity. But in the morning, when I do have time to really design my day, set the intention, and really reflect on what is happening and what I intended to happen, I find that my day becomes more fulfilled, I feel more at peace and more proud of my achievements. So I highly recommend journaling because it really allows you to get all that stress out of your head. Everything that's inside can really make you feel overwhelmed. And it's often that you write it down till you see that, okay, maybe problems aren't as big as you think, or maybe the opportunities that you didn't see, you can now see because you wrote down your feelings and what's really happening. So highly recommend you trying it out. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear you in the comments below, but otherwise I'll see you again in the next video.